Good evening and welcome to Crawley Borough Council's Cabinet of the 4th of June. I'm Councillor Michael Jones, Leader of the Council and Chair of the Cabinet. I'd like to welcome new Cabinet members to the meeting. Welcome Councillor Hilton to your first Cabinet. There are no scheduled fire drills tonight, so in the event of the fire alarm sounding, please leave the building via the main spiral staircase and through the main reception doors. Once outside, please turn left and make your way to the fire assembly point located beyond the multi-storey car park on Exchange Road. If you're unable to use the stairs, please wait in the council chamber and you'll be guided by a member of the staff to the evacuation lift. This meeting is being live streamed via the council's YouTube channel. Please note there is a no comments function available as part of this webcasting. The council is the data controller and will retain the data collected during the webcast. This will be done so in accordance with the council's published data retention policy. Any members of the public seated in the public gallery should be aware that by entering the chamber, they are consenting to their image being captured by the automated camera system. Recordings will be used for webcasting and or training purposes. Councillors are reminded to take note of what is displayed on the screens in the room, as this shows what is being recorded and webcast. Cameras are currently set to capture you in seated positions, so please remain seated when speaking. You can request to speak as usual in committees by raising your hand, to speak by pressing the button with a face on it, and the microphone will grow green when you are live. We will now commence with apologies for absence. Have we received any apologies for absence? No? Thank you, I didn't think so. Does any member have any disclosures of interest? I don't see any. Thank you. Minutes. Now we come to the minutes of the meetings held on the 23rd of April and the 7th of May. Does the Cabinet agree that the minutes are an accurate record of the meetings? Thank you, that's agreed. Public question time. We have now 15 minutes for public question time. I'll invite each person in turn to the table at the front of the public seating area to ask their question, which must be a question, not a statement, and be related to the functions of the Cabinet. It must not relate to an individual case or duplicate, in essence, a question which has been put to the Cabinet in the past 6 months. If you can please state your name, which ward you live in, and then ask your question. I will then invite other councillors or officers to respond. You may then ask one supplementary question, which should relate to your original question or the response given to it. As Cabinet members will see from the supplementary agenda, there were 2 written questions submitted in advance, along with the relevant responses. We will start by noting these. Can I just check whether either of the written questioners are present? No? Okay. In that case, they don't need to ask a supplementary. Are there any other questions tonight? I'll just welcome Councillor Chris Mullins to the meeting. Hello, Councillor Mullins. I hope you had a very sporting time. But can I just confirm whether you have any disclosures of interest? None at all, for the record, right? So. Well, naturally. Sorry, any other questions? Would anyone like to ask? Is it Fenelum? Do come forward, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Cabinet Chair, Leader, Michael, I'm not sure how to address you really. I'm afraid it is also on the subject of related to the West of Ifield, which is the subject of the 2 written responses. And just for what it's worth, I'm very pleased to see that the Council maintains its strong opposition to the West of Ifield and personally and on behalf of the Save West of Ifield campaign, which does operate in the interests of an awful lot of Crawley residents. We're very, very pleased to see that strong opposition from Council. My question is related specifically, and I hope that doesn't contravene your criteria for questions, but it does relate to Ifield Brook Meadows, which is obviously, you all know, within the boundaries of Crawley and not Horsham. And it's a question really about process, at what point, and I hope this is a question for Cabinet, at what point will Crawley Council be approached for a view on Homes England's plans to put cycle paths, lighting, and various other measures that will undoubtedly degrade the wildlife, the biodiversity value of the local wildlife site, and we also believe will degrade the recreational value of the local green space. So really it's a process question about when that issue will come forward to Crawley Council or Cabinet. And of course, I'd love to know what you think the view will be, but it's possibly not the time for you to be able to give a view.
Thank you. I think this is one. If Councillor Nawaz wants to respond, but I'm also prepared to allow Clem Smith, our head of service, to comment as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Fernando, for your question. I do think you mentioned it's a process question. I think Clem probably be able to answer that a little bit better than me. But I do think that if, in terms of your question, when we will be able to say something about those plans, naturally, once the plans has been submitted, we will be at a statutory consultee, will be consulted on those plans, and then we'll be in a position to say something. But I'll stand to be corrected by Clem on that, a little bit more detailed answer.
Thank you, Councillor Nawaz. No, Councillor Nawaz is absolutely right. We will be a statutory consultee. We will be required to pull together a consultation response to the proposals from Homes England, and Horsham Local Planning Authority will be under obligation to get that response from us. And that consultation response will be drafted by planning officers and will be presented to Planning Committee later in the year. Our expectation is that Homes England will submit their planning application sometime during the summer. We don't actually know when, but certainly the process for consultation overseen by Horsham Local Planning Authority will ensue after that, and we will have that proposal, and we'll be submitting that proposal following Planning Committee's assessment of it. That consultation proposal will go into Horsham after that. When it comes to your specific question around the Ifield Brook Meadows, you may have noted from the consultation which took place recently, I think it was at the Hindu temple, that Ifield Brook Meadows, as I understand it, does not comprise part of the proposed red line for the planning application for west of Ifield. In fact, all of the proposed red line sits within Horsham's boundaries, and none of it is within Crawley's boundaries. So in terms of your specific question, and when will we know, when we'll be able to engage, at the moment this authority does not know the answer to that question. It depends on what happens with the detail when that comes forward. I expect us to have a better understanding of that once we've been able to see the detail on the application, once it's been submitted to Horsham by Homes England.
Thank you, Clem. Did you have any supplementary question you'd like to ask?
No, I don't.
In that case, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions at all, or no? I'm not seeing any indications. So what I'll do is thank you for your question, and we'll move on to the next item, which is further notice of intention to conduct business in private and notifications of any representations. Please can I ask the monitoring officer to confirm if we've received any notifications?
None, Chair.
Thank you. In which case, matters referred to the Cabinet and any reports and the Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Commission. Neither of the reports on tonight's agenda were considered at the Overview and Scrutiny Commission, but I commend the new chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Commission for having attended nonetheless. So congratulations to you, Justin, and welcome. So in that case, we move on to item 8. We will start by considering the Re-Energise Manor Royal Scheme Grant Funding Agreement report. So Councillor Nawaz to present. Councillor Nawaz.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very proud to present this report and pleased with the outcome of that. This report shows it marks a major milestone. We are finally in a position to support the Manor Oil bid in launching the Re-Energise Manor Oil project. This follows years of detailed preparation and planning from our offices, with working closely with the Manor Oil bid. The project's being made possible thanks to nearly 1 million of funding through Crawley Towns Fund programme. Given that this is considered as a subsidy, we have ensured full compliance with the UK Subsidy Control Act before proceeding. The aim of this initiative is to improve the sustainability and resilience of energy supply in the Manor Oil Business District, while also cutting carbon emissions. The Manor Oil bid will deliver the project through a not-for-profit local energy company, community, which is called LEC, which will use the Towns Fund grant to install rooftop solar panels on several commercial properties across the area. The initial public investment will help the LEC establish itself and build momentum. The longer-term vision is for the LEC to continue rolling out solar infrastructure across Manor Oil by attracting additional private finance. The timing couldn't be better, following the Council's renewed declaration of a climate and natural emergency in December, with a commitment to reach borough-wide net zero emission by 2045. The Re-Energise Manor Oil project is a significant step towards that goal. I'm proud to support this recommendation in this report, which will allow us to sign the grant funding agreement with the Manor Oil bid and finally get this important project underway. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nawaz. Councillor Crowe, I understand you'd like to say a few words on this.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. It's certainly good to see that the Towns Fund that was initiated under the previous government is still continuing to benefit Manor Oil and indeed Crawley. And I very much welcome this project. The report talks about creating renewable energy and therefore reducing CO2 emissions, but I very much also welcome it talks about energy security, and of course there is reducing pressure on the grid as well, which can only be a positive thing, given that we are no doubt an area that, especially with Manor Oil and Gatwick, does use a lot of electricity and does therefore has a lot of pressure on the grid. See, paragraph 5.4 talks about the Subsidy Control Act, and this isn't something that I was particularly familiar with previously, and normally subsidies are not something that I would welcome, but I do understand the reasoning for this as to why it is an effective subsidy, but I welcome the fact it's all the I's have been dotted and all the T's have been crossed to make sure that it's been done correctly and as fairly as possible. There is a section, paragraph 8.5 on governance, and it talks about the reporting mechanisms, how there's biannual reporting. But I do think members would welcome some sort of form of reporting back, perhaps in a year's time or so, to see how this money has been used and utilised and how it's benefited various companies in Manor Oil, and indeed what the outcomes are in terms of the reduction in energy use and CO2 use. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Crowe. I'll now open the debate for other Cabinet members. Councillor Sue Mullins.
Thank you, Chair. Weirdly, today I was at another meeting where the subject of Manor Oil came up, and it was quite interesting to be talking about not only the impact that Manor Oil now has on the town now, but also the impact that Manor Oil's had on the town for the last 75 years, and how a huge part of the history it is of the town. So I think this initiative is really important, because it not only shows that Crawley Borough Council's commitment, but also the fact that we are working with our local businesses, because after all, Manor Oil, as far as I know, is still the biggest industrialist estate in not only the southeast, but I think probably most of the country. So to have this sort of emblazoned on that we are working together as a town council and as our local industry, looking for the same outcomes for the town and for our residents. So I think this is a great project going forward, and it's lovely to see us once again being torchbearers in this area. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Mullins. Any other? Councillor Irvine, thank you.
I just wanted to add to what Councillor Mullins has said, and of course I agree with everything that she said. And I think this, well, first of all, I congratulate on Councillor Nawaz on bringing this forward. I think this demonstrates that, you know, we hear a lot about the green agenda, not net zero, and you know, whether or not it's viable to achieve what we want to achieve. And I think that this demonstrates that as far as this council is concerned, we are still very serious and determined with our carbon production agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. Any other comments? Councillor Hilton. Thank you.
Thank you. I've come to the end of this process, but it's really good news as a newly appointed member for Sustainability and Climate Change. I think the decarbonisation plans and biodiversity and the carbon reduction plans proves we're on the right track. And I think, although we're concentrating as a council on scope 1 and 2, I think getting down to scope 3, reducing to net zero by 2045, shows we're a way forward. I also think that it shows how public and private come together. I think the Manor bid have played an important part, and I think that's a big part of this scheme. And it's the real big difference for me between being on the council in the 90s and now, that we work as a real partnership to deliver not only good things for the town, for the industrial estate, but for the planet as well. So I commend the scheme.
Thank you, Councillor Hilton. Looking around, I can't see any other cabinet members, so I'll move to a conclusion. I think that personally this is an excellent utilisation of the town's fund money. It's good for the environment as a major decarbonisation project. It's good for business and the local economy, as it will deliver tangible benefits to Manor Royal and keep its industry competitive. So what's not to like? It has taken a little while to reach what we hope will be a successful conclusion with this. All risks have been assessed and closely considered in setting up the local energy community. We also took time to ensure that we complied with all the subsidy control regulations, which quite frankly wasn't the council's fault that the government hadn't clarified all the details at the beginning of this. But for the benefits it will deliver, I'm absolutely certain it will have been worth the wait. I had the opportunity to attend the Manor Royal Business Improvement District Know Your Neighbour event yesterday, and I was delighted to speak to Steve Sawyer about what is going to be achieved with this, and my congratulations to him and his colleagues for their part in helping make this a reality. There's been a huge amount of work to get it to this point, from Manor Royal bids and also our council office, which I'm very conscious they had to undertake. And I suppose the final point just to make is, if we didn't proceed with this, we would have to find an alternative use for the £1 million before, is it March 2026? It's about then, and which, if it had remained unspent, we would have had to return it to government, which and there would be no local benefit in us doing so. So I very much hope all of the cabinet will join me. I suspect they will from the comments, and support Councillor Nawaz's compelling case for allocating this money. In terms of an update report that Councillor Crowe suggested, I mean, certainly got no objections to some form of that. But I think technically speaking, it has any update report would have to go to the town deal board initially. But this might be something that the scrutiny might want to consider. I think specifically before it came to cabinet, or if it would even be cabinet that would be considering that. But certainly I think I'm confident that there'll be plenty of positive things to say in 12 months time and 12 years time, but let's cross that bridge when we come to it. But so in that case, I think everyone's had a chance to speak. I move that the Cabinet approves the recommendations as set out in section 2 on page 19 of the pack. Councillor Nawaz, I believe you're seconding. Thank you. Is that agreed? Agreed. We will now move on to the consideration of the exempt items, which will sadly mean we will lose our viewers at home and the public. So therefore, can I move that under section 100A, subsection 4 of the Local Government Act 1972, that the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule A 12A of the Act by virtue of the paragraphs specified against the items. Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you. In that case, the recording and live stream will now finish. So I wish to thank anyone for watching and